The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
I'm Chris Hadfield, astronaut and citizen of planet Earth. Join me on a journey into the systems that power the world. No politics, just real conversations with real people shaping the future of energy.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Optimal Health Daily. Experts agree sugar might be as addictive as cocaine, by Anna Schaefer and Kareem Yasin with Healthline.com. And I'm your host and narrator, Dr. Neil. I'm going to keep this intro nice and short, so let's get right to it as we optimize your life. Experts agree sugar might be as addictive as cocaine, by Anna Schaefer and Kareem Yasin with Healthline.com.
We reward children with it over the holidays or for a job well done in school, and we reward ourselves with it after a particularly stressful day or to celebrate a birthday or special success. We add sugar to our coffee, bake it into our favorite treats, and spoon it over our breakfast. We love the sweet stuff. We crave it. But are we addicted to it? There's an increasing body of research that tells us sugar could be as addictive as some street drugs and have similar effects on the brain. Quote, "Addiction is a strong word," says Alan Green, MD, a children's health and wellness expert and the author of books like Raising Baby Green and Feeding Baby Green. Quote, "In medicine, we use addiction to describe a tragic situation where someone's brain chemistry has been altered to compel them to repeat a substance or activity despite harmful consequences. This is very different than the casual use of addiction like, I'm addicted to Game of Thrones." End quote. So I'm serious when I say that the evidence is mounting that too much added sugar could lead to true addiction, says Green. What is an addiction? The link between sugar and addictive behavior is tied to the fact that when we eat sugar, opioids and dopamine are released. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is a key part of the reward circuit associated with addictive behavior. When a certain behavior causes an excess release of dopamine, you feel a pleasurable high that you're inclined to re-experience, and so you repeat the behavior. As you repeat that behavior more and more, your brain adjusts to release less dopamine. So the only way to feel the same high as before is to repeat the behavior in increasing amounts and frequency. This is known as substance abuse. Research shows that sugar can be even more addicting than cocaine, says Cassie Bjork, RDLD, founder of Healthy Simple Life. Quote, "Sugar activates the opiate receptors in our brain and affects the reward center, which leads to compulsive behavior, despite the negative consequences like weight gain, headaches, hormone imbalances, and more." End quote. Studies suggest that every time we eat sweets, we are reinforcing those neural pathways, causing the brain to become increasingly hardwired to crave sugar, building up a tolerance like any other drug, she adds. Indeed, research on rats from Connecticut College has shown that Oreo cookies activate more neurons in the brain's pleasure center than cocaine does. And just like humans, the rats would eat the filling first. And a 2008 Princeton study found that under certain circumstances, not only could rats become dependent on sugar, but this dependency correlated with several aspects of addiction, including craving, binging, and withdrawal. Researchers in France agree that the casual link between sugar and illegal drugs doesn't just make for dramatic headlines. Not only is there truth to it, but they determined the rewards experienced by the brain after consuming sugar are even, quote, more rewarding and attractive than the effects of cocaine. Stories in the press about Oreos being more addictive than cocaine may have been overstated, admits Green. But we should not take lightly the power of added sugar to lure us again and again, and to rob us of our health. He goes on to say medical addiction changes brain chemistry to cause binging, craving, withdrawal symptoms, and sensitization. Quote, "Excess added sugar can do this too, through changes in the same pathways as addiction to amphetamine or alcohol. Sugar addiction could be an even harder habit to break, according to recent evidence about how added sugar affects our stress hormones." End quote. Sugar is also much more prevalent, available, and socially acceptable than amphetamines or alcohol, so it's harder to avoid. But whether or not sugar is truly more addictive than cocaine, researchers and nutritionists are in agreement that yes, sugar has addictive properties, and we need to be getting less of it. The drug analogy is always a tough one, because unlike drugs, food is necessary for survival, says Andy Bellotti, MSRD, Strategic Director of Dietitians for Professional Integrity. Quote, that said, there is an increasing body of research demonstrating that sugar can stimulate the brain's reward processing center in a manner that mimics what we see with some recreational drugs. In certain individuals with certain predispositions, this could manifest as an addiction to sugary foods. End quote. What is added sugar? The World Health Organization, or WHO, has been cautioning people to reduce their intake of quote-unquote free sugars to less than 10% of their daily calories, and this has been going on since 1989, saying that by doing so, you can lower your risk for being obese, overweight, or experiencing tooth decay. Free sugars include sugars naturally found in honey and fruit juice, and sugar added to food and drinks. On food labels, added sugars include words such as glucose, corn syrup, brown sugar, dextrose, maltose, and sucrose, as well as many others. In 2015, they further suggested reducing free sugar intake to less than 5% of your daily calories, which is about 6 teaspoons. In the United States, added sugars account for about 14% of the average person's calorie intake. Most of this comes from beverages, including energy drinks, alcohol, soda, fruit drinks, and sweetened coffees and teas, says the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion. Other common sources are snacks. These don't just include obvious perpetrators like brownies, cookies, donuts, and ice cream. You can also find large quantities of added sugars in bread, salad dressing, granola bars, and even fat-free yogurt. In fact, one survey found that high-calorie sweeteners are in over 95% of granola bars, cereals, and sugar-sweetened beverages, most often in the form of corn syrup, sorghum, and cane sugar. The Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion's 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines suggest cutting consumption of added sugars to less than 10% of total calories per day. To help consumers, the Food and Drug Administration has developed a new food label that lists added sugars separately, which manufacturers will be required to use in the near future. You need food to survive, and I think it's unrealistic to think you'll be able to completely quit sugar, says Alex Caspero, MARD, a blogger, health coach, and founder of Delish Knowledge. Quote, the problem is that we aren't meant to enjoy sugars in such concentrated amounts. In nature, sugar is found surrounded by fiber in sugarcane and fruits. It naturally comes in a container that produces a shorter blood sugar response and aids in fullness. Today's sugars are refined and concentrated. End quote. Caspero goes on to say, the good news is that we can adapt our taste buds to accept less sugar. Reducing sugar, especially concentrated sugars, not only limits the amount of sugars ingested, but also makes less sweet foods seem sweeter.
You just listened to the post titled, Experts Agree, Sugar Might Be As Addictive as Cocaine by Anna Schaefer and Kareem Yasin with Healthline.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
Oikos presents 15 Seconds of Strength.
Here we go. Steve's got a trunk full of groceries and no one to help him.
Oh, that's tough, Jim. Looks like a 5-trip load at least.
He grabs the first bag, the second. Bob, it looks like he's trying to do it all in one trip. He shimmies the door open, steps over the dog, and he stumbles.
Oh, right into the kitchen without missing a beat. Jim, now that's a man who eats his protein-packed Oikos.
With 15 grams of complete protein in each cup, Oikos Triple Zero can help build strength for every day. Oikos, stronger makes everything better.
At Sierra, you'll always find apparel, footwear, and gear for 20 to 60% less than department and specialty store prices. But right now, it's clearance time, so you can save even more on everything you need to get active and outside. Visit your local Sierra store today.
Dr. Neil here for my commentary.
Think about those comfort foods. What foods do you turn to when you're stressed out? What foods do you turn to when you're feeling down? You're not going to reach for that fruit, that veggie tray or big bowl of salad. It's never those foods, right? Instead, you turn to baked goods, maybe a pastry, chocolate, ice cream, a cookie, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. High carb, high fat, high sugar. And that's because, again, as you just heard, These nutrients release good-feeling hormones in the brain that help us feel good and relaxed. They make us happy. Could we get addicted to that happy feeling? Potentially, yes. Could sugar do that? Potentially, yes. The solution isn't to completely avoid sugar. The solution isn't to completely eliminate those foods from your house or from your diet. The solution is finding something else that makes you feel just as good, but that's not food related. That's the secret. That's the trick. So when you have that craving for something sweet, really think about it this way. Your brain may be craving that good feeling, that release of opioid-like hormones. So instead, we need to find something else that causes the same effect. For many, that runner's high they get, or after you do a really intense exercise routine, you get that flush of good feeling hormones in the brain. That can satisfy that same sugar craving. For others, it's emailing or texting, or looking on Facebook, or winning a game on their phone. Those can also release those same pleasurable hormones that will give you the same effect as if you just had consumed something sweet. So that's the trick. You need to find something else that releases those same good-feeling hormones so that you don't turn to sugar each time. But also be careful that you don't become addicted to Facebook or checking email or checking texts or playing those games on your phone. We need to find a balance. All right, that'll do it for today. I'll be back tomorrow for our usual Friday Q&A, so stay tuned for that. Your optimal life awaits.